So, history of codependency, it was first coined out of the AA movement. And when they realized that it wasn't just the addict that was the problem, it was actually the family and the friends as well. It was an addictive family system, right? And I used to work in the family program at a place called Amethyst in Charlotte, North Carolina. And we saw that the family was sick too, right? Everyone was sick because of the addiction. And so the family had to heal as well as the addict. And so codependency was what needed to heal. And people had to move through that. So they coined that term. Karen Horney was a German psychoanalyst, and she proposed, this is a long time ago, you guys, in 1941, that some people adopt a moving toward personality style to overcome their anxiety. Essentially, these people move toward others by gaining their approval and affection and subconsciously controlling them through their dependent style. Now, the codependent would not consciously tell you they're trying to control you. They would want you to be under their what they need and want to control you, so they didn't feel anxiety. So I'll give you an example about this. And it looks really pretty. It can be like a dressed up trash can, right? It looks really pretty on the outside, but the inside is there's a huge fear of abandonment if things don't look a certain way, and a lot of fear in relationships. So I'll give you a good story. I was dating this guy who was a substance abuse counselor, and he smoked cigars. Well, I had quit smoking cigarettes at that time. This was years ago. And every time he would smoke a cigar, I would almost have a panic attack. And I said to him, I can't be in a relationship with someone who smokes cigars. You're unhealthy. You're like my dad. I mean, he was in recovery and clean and sober. And he didn't smoke cigars that much, by the way. I just want to give the guy a break at this point. And I said, I can't date you. You've got to stop smoking cigars. Well, he was like, I don't want to stop smoking cigars. And I was like, he goes, I only smoke them once in a while when I'm with my buddies, when I'm riding my Harley motorcycle. That's only when I smoke them. And I was almost having a full blown panic attack. I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy, he's not going to stop. And I mean, this relationship's awful. And so then I started realizing, I think my anxiety is the problem, not the fact that he smokes cigars on the weekends with his buddies. I still could choose to leave the relationship, couldn't I? Because I didn't like that. Absolutely. Or I was afraid it would cause relapse for me if I were around it too much. Those are totally fine choices as well. But I kind of like this guy, kind of wanted to stay with him. So I thought, well, let me hang out with this a little longer. It's not a deal breaker yet. So I went to Al-Anon and started working on my anxiety and my trigger around him smoking cigars. And I realized I was the one that needed to do the 12 steps because I was the one having the most anxiety. He was fine with the fact that he smoked cigars. He'd gotten off all kinds of drugs and alcohol and was clean and sober and doing great. And this was his little thing he wanted to hold on to. And so we had to negotiate and work through that. But I had to go do my own recovery work first. So this is what I'm talking about, is when the codependent has a choice, and that inner anxiety of mine was the issue. It became the glaring issue. And that was my codependency. Okay, I'm looking to make sure there's no questions. So, also with codependency, the approval of others becomes more important than self-respect. That's a big issue with a codependent, is that want to make sure everybody is doing what they need for them, right? Or instead of them tuning in with themselves and seeing, what do I truly need here? What do I need to negotiate? What do I need to work with? So Al-Anon was formed in 1951 to help these family members like myself. And then Adult Children of Alcoholics was formed. There was a book sold called Adult Children of Alcoholics, sold 2 million copies. They realized this was a major issue. Tons of people were dealing with this kind of codependency. And then Robin Norwood wrote this great book. If none of y'all have read it, you may be too young to know about it. Women Who Love Too Much. It became a massive bestseller. And it was about codependency. People who give too much, over responsibility gone awry. And it looks really sweet and lovely and all that, but it's a lot of self-abandoning and anxiety running the show. So Codependent No More became a big hit. Another book I always recommend for my clients, The Language of Letting Go. If you don't know that book, many of you probably know it. It is such a good daily affirmation book to navigate letting go of what's mine to do, not what's not mine to do, and what's finding out what is mine to do. The Language of Letting Go. It also helps with developing a relationship with a higher power and getting that inner alignment with yourself so that you're not trying to micromanage and have an external focus of control around you. And then in 86, there was this man who said that he wanted to put treating codependency, he wanted to put this in the DSM, our little Bible of diagnoses. He wanted it to be a personality disorder. And I'm kind of glad that didn't happen, because personality disorders are things that look more unchangeable and unhealable. And codependency is a very healable dynamic. So I'm glad that didn't happen. And then this paved the way for 12-step groups of Codependence Anonymous. And those are very, very good for a certain stage of healing in a client's life. And I like to use them when people are really in an extreme codependent situation, or have an addict or someone in their lives that's really dysfunctional that they're trying to help navigate. CODA is a very, very, very powerful support group for that, to help people get back into their own self again.